Hey everyone, and welcome back. Are you ready to unlock some serious mind power?
I know I am.
I hope so, because today we're taking a deep dive into the law of attraction,
Oh, nice.
but we're going old school, like way back.
Okay.
We're talking William Walker Atkinson's thought vibration, or the law of attraction in the thought world,
Wow.
published in 1906.
Okay.
So we've got his book,
Well,
obviously
yeah.
some biographical info about Atkinson himself, and a ton of analysis.
Boss.
Get ready to move beyond just basic manifesting and tap into what Atkinson calls active mentation.
I love that. It's amazing to me how relevant Atkinson's ideas still are today.
Right.
He was writing over a century ago,
Yeah.
but his work on thought power feels so incredibly fresh, so now. He blends psychology with this early 20th century new thought philosophy.
Oh, absolutely.
And you can really see his fingerprints all over modern self-help.
Totally. It's like he was laying the groundwork for all those thoughts become things mantras we hear everywhere now. But Atkinson, he doesn't just stop there.
He goes deeper.
He goes so much deeper. He's not just saying, think positive and poof, you're a millionaire.
Right.
He's talking about truly understanding the mechanics of how our thoughts actually shape our reality.
Exactly. And one of the most powerful tools he uses is this analogy of thought vibration.
Okay, so tell me about thought vibration.
He's basically saying our thoughts are a real force, like electricity or magnetism. We might not be able to see the force itself, but we can definitely see the effects.
Okay, so like our thoughts are sending out these invisible vibes all the time.
All the time.
And what? Does that mean we're constantly attracting stuff, whether we're even aware of it or not?
You got it. Atkinson argues that we're all broadcasting on a certain frequency, if you will, and the universe is responding in kind, sending us more of whatever we're putting out there.
Okay, I'm starting to see where this active mentation thing comes in.
Right.
So it's not enough to just passively think. We have to become like conscious creators of our reality.
That's the key.
So what does that even look like to be a conscious creator?
Well, it starts with recognizing that we're not just at the mercy of our thoughts.
Okay.
We actually have the power to choose what we focus on, what we give our energy to. Atkinson believed that this is a skill that we can develop, like a muscle, and it's actually how we evolve as human beings.
I like that. It's empowering.
And he also had this really interesting take on willpower.
Ooh, willpower. That's something I think a lot of people struggle with.
For sure.
Including myself.
It's a big one.
You know, like, I always wonder, am I just doomed to eat that extra cookie because I lack willpower?
Atkinson would say absolutely not.
Really?
He argues that we all have willpower.
Okay.
The power is there, but most of us just don't know how to use it. Our minds, he says, are like untrained muscles.
Okay.
We need to use specific techniques,
Like what?
like auto-suggestion,
Auto-suggestion.
to reprogram our subconscious minds.
So, auto-suggestion.
Yeah.
What is that exactly? Like, are we brainwashing ourselves?
It's not brainwashing. It's more like, think of it like planting seeds in the garden of your mind.
Okay.
Atkinson actually gives very specific affirmations,
Okay.
but he emphasizes it's not about robotically repeating words.
Right.
It's about truly feeling the intention behind them.
So you have to, like, believe it, not just say the words.
Exactly. And he even suggests doing one deliberately unpleasant task each day.
Wait, why?
He says it strengthens your mental muscles.
Okay, I'm all for personal growth,
Sure.
but I'm not sure I'm ready to sign up for daily unpleasantness.
It doesn't have to be anything too crazy.
Okay.
Think of it as a workout for your willpower.
So the idea is like pushing past resistance.
Exactly.
You're proving to yourself that you're in control. You can act on your conscious choices, not just react to your impulses.
Right. Speaking of control, Atkinson also emphasizes the importance of strong desire. He says that weak desires attract weak results.
So if I kind of sort of want something,
Yeah.
it's not going to manifest as powerfully as if I'm like totally obsessed with it.
Exactly. He compares it to being in love.
Ah, okay.
When you're truly in love, your entire being is focused on the beloved.
Yeah.
You bring that same intensity to your goals. That's how you attract them into your reality.
Okay.
And that's where mental leaks come in.
Mental leaks, what are those?
It's when our attention is scattered. We're constantly chasing after shiny objects and diluting our attractive force. Think of it like a focused laser beam versus a dim light bulb.
Got it.
Atkinson, he argues for clarity of desire and intention.
So no more wishy-washy wanting stuff.
No more wishy-washy.
We need to be laser focused on what we want
Crystal clear.
and why we want it.
Yes. And it's not just about material things either.
Oh.
Atkinson talks about the importance of claiming our birthright. He even goes as far as rejecting false humility.
Now that's interesting. What does he mean by false humility?
Well, he tells this really great story
Okay.
about a woman who constantly felt unworthy of success.
Uh-huh.
And guess what?
What?
She kept attracting situations that confirmed that belief.
Oh, wow.
Atkinson is very clear. He says we are heirs to the universe's bounty, but we have to own that truth.
So no more self-sabotaging thoughts like, I don't deserve this.
Right. He actually uses this great analogy, calls it the kindergarten of the infinite.
Okay, I like that.
He says all the good things in life, they're like toys for our learning and growth.
So like we're playing in this cosmic kindergarten.
Exactly. We can enjoy the toys,
Uh-huh.
but we don't need to cling to them. Be ready to move on to the next level, the next lesson.
That's a good way to look at it.
And this ties into his idea that life isn't random. We're not just victims of circumstance.
Okay.
We're actively shaping our reality through our thoughts, whether we realize it or not.
He tells the story of that guy who's convinced that everything was just bad luck. Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah. That's a classic example. He was unknowingly proving the law of attraction with every negative experience.
So it's like, it's not about pretending bad things don't happen.
Right.
It's about choosing how we respond to them.
Yes. And here's the real mind blower. Atkinson says that true success often comes not from constantly wishing, but from a deep inner knowing.
So it's more about a feeling of certainty
Yes.
than constantly striving or hoping.
It's like aligning yourself with the current of the law.
Okay.
Instead of constantly fighting against it. Think about it. If we're constantly swimming upstream against the current of our own thoughts,
Yeah.
it's exhausting.
It makes so much more sense to learn how to ride the current.
Exactly.
Work with the law of attraction, not against it.
Yes.
So we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
We've established that this law of attraction thing,
Yeah.
it's clearly more than just, positive thinking.
Much more.
It's about understanding how our thoughts literally create our reality and then using that knowledge to consciously shape our lives.
That's it.
But how do we actually bridge that gap between thought and reality?
Ah, the million-dollar question.
Where's the action part come in?
Well, that's where Atkinson's teachings on aligning our actions with our desires becomes super important.
Okay.
It's not enough to just think about what we want.
Yeah.
We have to actually take inspired action towards those desires.
So it's like we're setting the intention with our thoughts.
Right.
And then taking steps to bring those thoughts into physical form.
Exactly. And that's where the real magic happens. When we can align our thoughts, our emotions, and our actions, that's when we create a powerful force for manifestation.
That makes sense. But what about those times when we feel stuck, like we're putting in the effort,
Yeah.
but not seeing the results?
Well, Atkinson would remind us of the importance of persistence and faith.
Okay.
He said that the law of attraction is always working, but sometimes it takes time for things to manifest in the physical realm. So it's not about giving up when things get tough.
Right.
It's about trusting the process and continuing to take aligned action.
It's about not giving up on ourselves,
Exactly.
not giving up on our dreams.
And you know what? He believed that the more we understand the law and apply it consistently,
Yeah.
the more we become masters of our own destiny.
I love that. Okay, this is all starting to make a lot of sense, but I'm still wondering about the how of it all.
Okay.
How do our thoughts actually translate into tangible results in the real world?
Well, Atkinson was writing before the advent of quantum physics,
Right.
but some of his ideas actually align with modern scientific discoveries about the nature of energy and vibration.
Wait, so science is starting to back up some of this woo-woo stuff.
I wouldn't call it woo-woo,
Okay, fair enough.
but it's more like science is starting to catch up to what mystics and philosophers have been saying for centuries. We now know that everything is energy vibrating at different frequencies. Okay.
And some scientists actually believe that our thoughts have the power to influence those vibrations.
Okay, so my thoughts aren't just happening in my head.
Yeah.
They're actually emitting energy into the world.
Think of it like tuning forks.
Okay.
If you strike one tuning fork,
That-
another tuning fork nearby that's tuned to the same frequency, it will start to vibrate as well.
So, our thoughts are like tuning forks sending out vibrations.
Exactly.
And they activate anything that's vibrating at a similar frequency.
Yes.
So that's how we attract experiences, people, even objects into our lives.
The things that are already vibrating at the same frequency as our dominant thoughts are drawn to us. It's like we're constantly broadcasting a signal, and the universe is responding by sending us more of what we're putting out there.
So it's not magic, it's physics.
You could say that.
Yeah.
And the more we understand the science behind the law of attraction, the more effectively we can use it to create the life we desire. Okay, this is incredibly empowering. It's like we're finally being given the keys to the kingdom.
Right.
But I have to admit, it's also a little daunting.
How so?
Well, if we're truly creating our own reality,
Yeah.
does that mean we're also responsible for all the bad stuff that happens?
That's a question a lot of people struggle with. And while Atkinson certainly believed in the power of the mind to shape reality, he also acknowledged that there are many factors at play.
Okay.
And we don't always have conscious control over everything that happens.
So it's not about blaming ourselves for everything that goes wrong.
Not at all.
Okay.
It's more about recognizing our power to choose our response, to learn from our experiences, and to keep moving forward on our path of growth.
That makes sense. It's like we're not always in control of the waves, but we can learn how to surf.
Exactly. And the more we understand the law of attraction,
Yeah.
the more skillfully we can navigate the ups and downs of life.
So we left off talking about how our thoughts are like little energy transmitters shaping our reality.
Right.
But how do we actually tune those transmitters to the right frequency? How do we manifest what we want?
Well, Atkinson had some very specific ideas about that. He was really big on what he called autosuggestion.
Oh yeah, autosuggestion.
And this is where things get really practical, you know?
Okay.
It's about actively shaping our subconscious beliefs.
Okay, but the subconscious is kind of like this hidden control room, right?
Exactly.
How do we even access it?
Atkinson believed that repetition, repeated affirmations were key.
Okay, affirmations, yeah. But it's not just about mindlessly chanting phrases, right?
No. He
Yeah.
was very clear about that. He said we need to actually infuse those affirmations with real feeling, with conviction.
So it's not enough to just say, like, I'm rich, I'm successful, while secretly feeling like a total broke imposter.
Exactly. You have to feel the truth of the affirmation in your gut on an emotional level.
Okay.
He had some specific ones he recommended, but the core principle is to choose statements that directly counteract your own limiting beliefs.
You know, I love that one he uses. I am asserting the mastery of my real self.
It's so good, right?
It's so powerful.
It really highlights that core idea that we have this inherent power within us. And remember, Atkinson really believed that our potential is constantly evolving. You know, we're not stuck with the mental programming we inherited or developed in the past.
So we're not just at the mercy of our past experiences or limiting beliefs. We can actually rewire our thinking.
Absolutely. And that's where those daily unpleasant tasks he talks about come in.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
We talked about these a little bit before. I'm still not sold on that one.
Oh, come on. You gotta try it.
Do I really need to start my day with something I dread?
Think of it as a way to really flex that willpower muscle.
Okay.
Atkinson said it's not about seeking out suffering. It's
Right.
about proving to yourself you can act in alignment with your conscious choices, even when it's challenging.
So maybe it's not about making my life miserable,
Oh, no.
but about stretching my capacity to choose.
Exactly. It could be as simple as taking a cold shower,
Okay.
doing a chore you've been putting off,
Yeah.
or having a difficult conversation you've been avoiding.
Okay.
The point is to build that mental discipline.
I'm starting to see how this ties into his whole idea of active mentation, right?
Totally.
We're not just passively accepting our thoughts.
Yep.
We're consciously shaping them.
Yeah.
We're taking control.
It's about moving from that passive state to an active state, from being controlled by our thoughts to controlling them. And that's where desire comes in. Atkinson was very clear. Desire, he said, is the fuel that powers the law of attraction.
So the stronger the desire, the
Yes.
stronger the manifestation power.
Precisely. He uses that example of, someone who's deeply in love.
Oh, yeah.
Their entire being is focused on the beloved.
Uh-huh.
You bring that same intensity to your goals, and that's how you attract them into your reality.
That makes sense. But what if my desires are kind of, I don't know, scattered? Like I'm passionate about a lot of things, but I'm not sure where to focus my energy.
Well, that's where his concept of mental leaks comes in. He warned about diluting our attractive force by giving our attention to too many things at once.
Okay.
It's like trying to water a garden with a leaky hose, right? You end up wasting a lot of water, nothing grows properly.
So we got to patch up those
They
leaks.
got to patch them up.
Be super specific with our desires.
Specificity is key. The more clearly we can define what we want and why we want it, the more powerfully we can attract it into our reality.
So no more wishy-washy wanting stuff.
No more wishy-washy, gotta get crystal clear. And, this all ties back to his kindergarten of the infinite analogy.
Oh, right. The cosmic
Kindergarten. He's saying, look, it's okay to enjoy the abundance, the toys of life, but we don't need to cling to them desperately.
Yeah.
We have to remember it's all part of a bigger game. We're learning and growing.
So it's not about denying ourselves pleasure or abundance.
No, not at all.
It's about remembering that it's all part of the game, part of the learning process.
Exactly. He's encouraging us to have fun, to play, to experience all that life has to offer, but also to remember that we're not defined by those things. We're not attached to the toys. We're free to move on to the next level when the time is right.
Okay, this is starting to make a lot of sense. But there's one thing I'm still kind of wrestling with.
What's that?
It's that idea that, life isn't random. Sometimes it really feels like stuff just happens to us,
Yeah.
We don't always have control over the circumstances.
True, we don't always control those external events, but we always have control over our inner response to them. And according to Atkinson, that inner response is what sets the law of attraction into motion.
So even if something bad happens, it's not necessarily bad luck. It's just a circumstance.
The circumstance.
And we have the power to choose how we respond to it.
Exactly. He even talks about how people who believe in bad luck are actually proving the law of attraction.
Oh, interesting. How?
Because they're constantly attracting what they're focused on, negativity and misfortune.
So it's not about pretending bad things don't happen.
No.
It's about choosing to focus on the good, even in the midst of challenges.
You got it. It's about cultivating a mindset of trust and faith that even though we may not understand why things happen, there's a higher purpose at play.
That is a really powerful shift in perspective.
It is.
It's like we're taking back control even when it feels like we have none.
And that sense of empowerment is what allows us to move from a place of fear and reaction to a place of conscious creation and deliberate manifestation.
Okay, I'm getting this now. But how do we actually cultivate that deep inner knowing that Atkinson talks about?
Yeah.
How do we move from wishing to knowing, from hoping to trusting?
Well, he suggests it starts with aligning our desires with our soul's purpose, with our true calling.
Okay.
When we're doing what we're meant to do, what we're truly passionate about, that's when we tap into that deep well of certainty and confidence.
So it's not just about wanting things for ourselves. It's about wanting things that are in alignment with a greater purpose.
Right. And when we're living in alignment with that purpose, the universe actually conspires to support us. The right people, the right opportunities, the right resources, it all seems to magically appear.
Okay, this all makes sense, but if I can be honest for a second.
Yeah, of course.
I'm a bit of a skeptic.
Totally understandable.
It's hard to fully wrap my head around this idea that my thoughts can actually influence the physical world.
I get it. It can feel like a really big leap, especially if we've been conditioned to believe that the mind and matter are totally separate. But Atkinson, he was way ahead of his time in understanding that everything is interconnected.
Okay, but how does that actually work? Is there, any scientific evidence to support this?
Well, Atkinson didn't have access to modern quantum physics.
Right.
But some of his concepts actually resonate with what scientists are discovering about the nature of reality.
Right.
Like, for instance, the idea that everything is energy vibrating at different frequencies.
So my thoughts aren't just happening in my head.
No.
They're actually emitting energy into the world.
Exactly. And that energy, it can interact with the energy of other things, people, even events.
Wow, that's mind-blowing. So if I'm constantly thinking negative thoughts,
Yeah.
I'm basically sending out negative vibes that could attract negative experiences.
That's the general idea.
Yeah.
And conversely, if you're cultivating positive thoughts and emotions, you're emitting positive vibes that are more likely to attract positive experiences.
Okay, that makes sense. But it also makes me wonder,
Mm-hmm.
if our thoughts are so powerful,
Yeah.
what about all the negative stuff that's happening in the world?
Yeah, that's a big one.
Are we, collectively manifesting all that too?
That's a complex question, and Atkinson acknowledged that the world is definitely full of both positive and negative thought vibrations.
Uh-huh.
But he also believed very strongly that positive thoughts are inherently more powerful than negative ones.
So like, one ray of sunshine can cut through a lot of darkness.
Exactly. It's not about denying the existence of negativity,
Yeah.
but about recognizing that we have the power to choose a higher vibration, to focus on the good even in the midst of those challenges.
That's empowering, but it also feels like a lot of responsibility.
It is a responsibility.
If we're all contributing to the collective consciousness with our thoughts, it means we have a responsibility to choose our thoughts wisely.
Right. Atkinson would definitely agree with you there. He believed that conscious creation is not just about personal gain, it's also about contributing to a better world.
So it's not just about manifesting a bigger house or a fancier car. It's about using our thoughts to create a reality that's more loving, more just, more harmonious.
Exactly. And when we align our desires with the well-being of others, with the greater good, that's when the law of attraction becomes truly transformative, both for ourselves and for the world around us.
Wow, that's a beautiful thought. I'm starting to see how the law of attraction isn't just some self-help technique.
No.
It's like a spiritual practice, a way of aligning ourselves with a higher purpose.
And that alignment is what unlocks the true power of the law. It's not about manipulating the universe to get what we want.
Right.
It's about surrendering to a higher wisdom and allowing that wisdom to guide us towards our greatest good.
Okay, this is all starting to click for me. But I'm wondering, if the law of attraction is always operating, why don't we all have everything we want?
Right.
Why are some people seemingly more successful at manifesting than others?
That's a great question. And it really gets to the heart of what Atkinson considered the key to mastering the law.
Okay, what is it?
He said it's not enough to just understand the principles. We have to apply them consistently and cultivate a deep belief in their efficacy.
So it's about walking the walk.
Yes.
Not just talking the talk.
Exactly. It's like any skill, the more we practice, the more proficient we become. And the more we see evidence of the law working in our lives, the stronger our belief becomes.
So it's a virtuous cycle. The more we believe, the more we manifest, and the more we manifest, the more we believe.
Precisely. And that's how we move from a place of doubt and uncertainty to a place of confidence and trust in our ability to co-create with the universe.
Okay, I'm starting to feel a shift happening within me.
That's great.
I'm ready to move beyond the skepticism and embrace this possibility. But I do have to ask, are there any common pitfalls that people fall into when they're first starting out with the law of attraction?
Oh, for sure. One of the biggest ones is focusing too much on the how and not enough on the why.
What do you mean?
Well, it's like when people get so caught up in the mechanics of manifestation, the affirmations, the visualizations, the action steps, they forget to really connect with the deeper purpose behind their desires.
So it's not just about wanting, a bigger house. It's about understanding why we want that bigger house.
Yeah.
What needs are we trying to fulfill?
Exactly. Atkinson believed that our desires are ultimately driven by a deeper longing for growth and expansion. Remember his kindergarten of the infinite analogy.
Oh, yes. So we need to ask ourselves, what lesson am I trying to learn here? What am I hoping to experience or create in this cosmic kindergarten?
Precisely. And when we align our desires with our soul's purpose, with our true calling, that's when the law of attraction really kicks into high gear.
This is making so much sense. But I have to admit, I'm still a bit hesitant to fully embrace this idea that I'm completely responsible for everything that happens in my life. It just feels like a lot of pressure.
That's understandable. Atkinson acknowledged that there are many factors at play, and we don't always have conscious control over every single event.
So it's not about blaming ourselves for every bad thing that happens.
Not at all. It's more about recognizing our power to choose our response, to learn from our experiences, and to keep moving forward on that path of growth.
That's reassuring. So it's more about taking responsibility for our inner world.
Yes.
For our thoughts, our beliefs, our attitudes.
Exactly.
Rather than trying to control the external world.
Right. And when we shift that focus inward, we start to see how our inner world is reflected in our outer world. Our thoughts and beliefs create a vibrational frequency that attracts experiences, people, and events that resonate with that frequency.
So it's like we're constantly attracting what we're broadcasting.
Yeah, and the more we understand that dynamic,
yeah,
the more consciously we can choose what we're putting out there.
Okay, I'm starting to get the hang of this. But what about those times when we feel stuck, Like we're doing all the right things, but not seeing any results.
Well, Atkinson emphasized the importance of patience and persistence.
Okay.
He said the law of attraction is always working, but sometimes it takes time for those desires to manifest in the physical realm.
So it's not like a quick fix or magic formula.
Yep.
It's about consistently aligning our thoughts, our emotions, our actions with what we want to create.
Right. And he believed the more we understand the law and apply it consistently, the more we become masters of our own destiny.
Okay, I'm ready to put this into practice. But
Yeah.
before we wrap up this section,
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the spiritual dimension of the law of attraction. You know, Atkinson seems to hint at something bigger than just material manifestation.
Oh, absolutely. He was deeply connected to the New Thought movement, which emphasized the idea that we're all part of this divine, interconnected web of being.
So it's not just about manifesting things, it's about connecting with something larger than ourselves.
Exactly. Atkinson believed that the law of attraction isn't just a tool for personal gain.
Yeah.
It's actually a pathway to spiritual awakening.
That's intriguing.
Hmm.
But how does that actually work? How do we connect with that spiritual dimension?
Well, he talks about cultivating a sense of, almost childlike trust in the universe. He says that those who approach the absolute, that's what he called it.
With the simple faith of a child, will feel this sense of being held and guided.
So it's not about overthinking it or trying to control everything with our minds.
Nope.
It's more about surrendering to something bigger than ourselves.
Exactly. It's about letting go of that need to control every little detail and trusting that we're being supported and guided, even when we can't see the whole picture.
Okay.
He even compares it to like a child placing their hand in the hand of a parent and saying, "Li dao mi on."
That's such a beautiful image. But it does require a lot of faith, doesn't it?
It does.
Faith that we're not alone, that we're being supported, even when things feel uncertain.
And that's where the law of attraction comes in. It's like the more we cultivate that faith, that trust in the universe, the more evidence we see of it in our own lives.
Okay.
Things start falling into place. Synchronicities happen.
Yeah.
We feel that sense of being guided, of being protected.
It's like we're attracting what we believe, even on a spiritual level. Right. And that's what Atkinson's ultimately pointing to, a deeper understanding of the law of attraction as this force that operates on all levels of our being, physical, mental, and spiritual. It's about aligning ourselves with the flow of the universe, with the absolute, and allowing that power to work through us.
Okay, this is all starting to make sense. It's like the law of attraction isn't just about getting stuff. It's about becoming more aligned with who we truly are,
Right.
with our highest potential.
Exactly. And the more we focus on that inner growth, on connecting with that divine spark within us, the more effortlessly the outer manifestations seem to flow. It's like we're shifting those priorities from having to being.
Wow. This has been such an insightful deep dive. I feel like we've gone way beyond the surface level of the law of attraction
Yeah.
and tapped into something much more profound.
It is profound stuff, isn't it? And remember, this is just the beginning of the journey.
True.
The law of attraction is a lifelong exploration.
It is.
The more we learn, the more we realize how much more there is to discover about ourselves and about the universe.
So we've been talking about how the law of attraction can help us manifest our desires.
Right.
But it's also about something much deeper.
Deeper, yeah.
It's about becoming the best versions of ourselves, right?
Exactly. It's about aligning with our highest potential. And what's so fascinating is how Atkinson ties this into a spiritual dimension.
Yeah, he didn't shy away from that at all.
Not one bit. He was deeply influenced by the New Thought movement,
Right.
which, as you know, emphasized this idea of the interconnectedness of everything and this idea that we all have this divine spark within us.
Yeah, he talks about the absolute.
Yes.
This like universal force or power that connects us all.
It's like we're not just these separate individuals running around, We're
Right.
part of something so much bigger, something much more magnificent.
Okay, that sounds amazing in theory.
Sure.
But how do we actually do that? How do we connect with the absolute?
That's the big question, right?
Yeah, it seems like such a vast
It is vast.
and kind of abstract concept.
Well, Atkinson suggests cultivating a sense of, almost childlike trust in the universe.
Childlike trust.
Yeah. He says those who approach the absolute with that simple, pure faith of a child, they're the ones who really feel that sense of being held and guided.
So it's not about overthinking it
Yeah.
or trying to like micromanage everything with our minds.
Let it go.
It's more about surrendering to something bigger than ourselves.
Exactly. Letting go of the need to control every little detail.
Yeah.
And just trusting that we're being supported, that we're being guided.
Yeah.
Even when we can't see the whole picture. You know, he even compares it to a child placing their hand in the hand of a parent.
I love that.
And saying, lead thou me on.
That's such a beautiful image. But it does require a lot of faith, doesn't it?
It does. It does. But that's where the beauty lies, I think. It's faith that we're not alone,
Yeah.
that we're being taken care of.
Even when things feel uncertain.
And that's where the law of attraction comes in.
Right, exactly. It's like the more we cultivate that faith,
Okay.
that trust in the universe, the more evidence we see of it in our lives.
Yeah.
Things start to fall into place.
Yeah.
Synchronicities happen.
Uh-huh.
And we just feel this sense of, being guided, protected, like we're on the right path.
It's like we're attracting what we believe, even on a spiritual level.
Yes.
Like the more we trust in the goodness of the universe, the more goodness we experience.
And that's what Atkinson is really pointing to. This deeper understanding of the law of attraction,
Yeah.
It's a force that operates on all levels, physical, mental, and spiritual. It's about aligning ourselves with the flow of the universe, with the absolute,
Right.
allowing that power to work through us.
Okay, this is all starting to make sense. It's like the law of attraction isn't just about like getting stuff.
Right.
It's about becoming more aligned with who we truly are, with our highest potential. Exactly. And the more we focus on that inner growth, on connecting with that divine spark within us, the more effortlessly those outer manifestations seem to flow. It's like we're shifting our priorities from having to being.
Wow, this has been an amazing deep dive. I feel like we've gone way beyond just the surface level understanding of the law of attraction.
You're right. It's deep stuff.
And tapped into something so much more profound.
Yeah, and it's a lifelong journey, this exploration of the law of attraction.
It is?
The more we learn,
Yeah.
the more we realize how much more there is to discover. Not just about the universe, but about ourselves too,
That's so true. So to our listener out there, if you're feeling inspired,
Yeah.
if you're ready to explore this further, I encourage you to really dive into Atkinson's work
Yeah, great place to start.
and start experimenting with these principles in your own life.
See what happens.
Pay attention to your thoughts.
Those are powerful.
Cultivate that sense of childlike trust in the universe. And most importantly, claim your birthright of joy.
Love that. And as you go on this journey, on this adventure of conscious creation, remember, you're not alone.
We're all in this together.
The universe has got your back. It's always conspiring to support you in becoming the best and most authentic version of yourself.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today.
Oh, it was my pleasure, truly.
It's been an absolute joy.
Likewise.
And to our wonderful listeners, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive
Yes, thank you.
into the law of attraction. We hope you've learned something new today.
And that you feel empowered.
We hope you feel inspired.
Inspired to create the life you truly desire.
Absolutely. So until next time,
Yes, until next time.
keep those vibes high,
High vibes.
those intentions